Okay, I figure I might as well share this. Got out and I played some pinball, shot some video of slow-mo. I've learned something with the slow-mo. First off, the clips I get are only 8 seconds long. At 1,000 frames a second, that would be 1/10 of a second. The problem is, I'm not actually getting a full slow-mo 8-second video. If you're watching, you'll see I get normal speed here, and there it turns slow, and then I get like 2 flipper, which is all I really need for the timing, and then the rest of the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to real quickly play this and throw some flags in so I can figure out where I'm going to trim off the normal speed video, so we can see how many frames we actually get. So click that. So there's the oh, seriously? This is so annoying. Okay, so it's only going to let me have like really not many. Anyway, let's try the chapter markers again. So hit playback, and I'm going to go over. So hit play, and it goes slow right about there. I didn't get it. I just want to mark it. So I'm going to do this the manual way. So I can see how the finger's going, normal speed is, and then right about there, it's slow motion. See how it's nice and fast? And then I go, here's the withdrawal. And so I'm going to trim starting about, so it looks like my normal speed is the first second or so of the video. So let's snip, and we're going to ditch the beginning, so that's not any good to us. And now I'm going to use the drag bar again, and let's see where it speeds up again. Oh man, you can see it just leap. So everything after that mark is kind of worthless. So I'm going to hit another snip, clip there, delete. So what I really have here is about 5.5 seconds. So that's like 1/15 of a second of video here. So I'm going to zoom in on, let's see if I can figure out, I'm going to zoom in on this so we can go frame by frame through it. Because what I want to see is, I want to see where the button is engaged. So we're going to come off of there. Maybe I should zoom out a little bit and get my position first. Yeah, we'll get to it. Okay, so here is where my finger actually engages the button. So I'm even going to just nuke it at that point. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a cut, and we're going to ditch all of that wind up. So then I'm going to zoom out, move this back to the 0 point. And this is going to help us get our frame count. So we're going to zoom in again. So let's see where our button press actually happens. So again, each frame here is going to be 1 millisecond. So I'm going to say, okay, that's about where the switch is engaged. So the switch should be engaged there, absolutely engaged there. And look at that. Okay, so and I can't see inside the button to see where the flipper switch is engaged, but I know from experience it's not right at not when it bottoms out. But check this out. So between the button press, I've got 1, 2, and the flipper's moving already, 2 milliseconds in, and Avengers Infinity Quest is moving. So I'm going to just open up a notepad here, and I'm going to say AIQ is 2 millisecond. That's pretty freaking amazing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that down, and let's check out an EM. So I'm going to add an EM here. Can I rotate that 90 degrees? Resolution, full screen, standard. Where's my... I'm sure there's a way to rotate it, but at the end of the day, do I really care that much? Can I do it? Oh, yeah, here we go. Cool. Oh, you know what? I've got to go back to the import. I've got to put this there on top. Oh, that's on top. I don't understand this software. So let's zoom back out again. And look at how this is... I'm not fond of this program. I'm used to Adobe After Effects, but I can't afford that anymore. So let's just move this way down there. So now it's a non-issue. And now I can go back up and I can pay attention to El Dorado. So again, with El Dorado, you can see how I've got the same high speed here. And then I pull the finger away, and let's stop it right about there. And I'm just going to do a big trim, get rid of this normal speed video, go back here, and oh man, look at that. So we're going to... And at the end, it speeds up again. So I'm just going to, again, trim the end, blow that away. And now let's see what we've got for El Dorado. And for anybody who's bored with this, I'm sorry. Go watch something else. This is nerdy stuff for me. So here I'm zoomed in, and you can see I'm getting 1 frame per click. So there's one. So the button, I'm going to say... That's about where the button's engaged. So, okay, so we'll say the button's engaged here. One of those two. So in, and the flipper's moving already. So is that 1 or 2 milliseconds? And this is where it'd be nice to see what the switch is doing inside, so I know what the actual thing is. But if we go from bottoming out, so the button's bottomed out there, and the flipper's moving immediately. That's 1 millisecond, but I really know that the switch is back here, so I'm going to call it 2 milliseconds again, just like AIQ. So we'll say El Dorado is another 2 millisecond delay. I'm really hoping this is pretty standard for pinball. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I want to see Rick and Morty next. So Rick and Morty. This is going to be interesting to me because Rick and Morty has a different input system. So let's see what we've got. So again, I got the normal speed video, and you can see it slow right down there again. Let's wait till my finger's touching. There's my finger just about touching. I'm going to get rid of that stuff. Move this over. And so that's the slow-mo. And you can see it speeds up at the end again. So we'll ditch that stuff. But again, we got, even though we're talking about like 1/20th of a second, what we're measuring is only a few milliseconds long. And we've got usable footage here. So let me zoom in on it. And let's see where this starts. So from bottoming out, see, when I bottom out, it's already moving. So I've still got button movement, and the flipper's already moving. So when you talk about instantaneous, but we know that really the switch engages right around there somewhere. So again, 1 millisecond or 2 milliseconds. And oh man, you see that deformation? There's, even with the bright light I've got on it, you can't see what's going on, but you can see how the rubber deforms on the flipper and then snaps in and bounces once. And so you can even see how the flipper's got like this bouncing action. So anyway, again, I'm going to call that 2 milliseconds. So it looks like real world pinball delays are roughly 2 milliseconds. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom out, move Rick and Morty out of the way. For comparison, we're going to go to visual pinball. And this is, video game pinball. Now I'm going to point out I'm using a 60 hertz monitor here. So this is a slow monitor. The graphics card is a 3060 Ti, so not slow by any means. But when we do a comparison, let's see. So again, we get the same sort of normal speed happening at the beginning here. And then we can see where the slow-mo kicks in. So I'm going to back up, and I'm just going to cut all that garbage off the beginning. Like, I have to get up to 5 seconds into the video before the useful stuff comes in. So now I'm going to go up here. And again, you can see how at the end of the video it speeds up again. So I'm just going to trim off that real world speed, and leaving us 2 seconds. We got 2 whole seconds of video to work with, which at 1,000 frames a second is what, like 1/50th of a second. I'm ballparking. 1/60th? Yeah, 1/60th. Anyway, it's very little time, but that's okay because we only need this little bit. So the button here, it's bottomed out. I've got a fairly short throw button. So let me zoom in on this, make sure we're getting 1 frame. So you can even see the flipper still returning from the previous press. So here is where we're setting up. So there's my fully depressed state at 8 seconds. Yeah, I'm going to make this easy on myself. I'm going to get that all the way back to 0. So now, with this fully depressed, what we're looking for is when the flipper starts to move up again. So again, the button's down. The flipper's still returning from the previous press. And we're at 17 seconds, 18 milliseconds, and the flipper's still returning. Or is it going back up again? Oh, okay. So the flipper actually returned. So the flipper was returned at the 15 milliseconds. But it starts going up again. There's the up. I'm going to call that 20 milliseconds where the motion starts. So check that out. So visual pinball on 60 hertz display is 20 milliseconds. It'd be interesting to see as I change up the display and maybe change some settings if I can get that knocked down further. The last one I'm going to do just for fun. Let's get this out of here. And the last one I'm going to show for comparison is Pinball FX. And this will show where some of the delays are not necessarily... wait, what did I do wrong? Okay, I've got to get used to doing this. Okay. So here's this. We'll zoom in. Again, we're going to have some normal speed video. You can see the normal speed, and there's the slow-mo kicking in. So we'll start just as the button's pressed. There's my connection. Trim the beginning off. Get rid of the fat. Zero that out. And then you can see it speeds up at the end again. So I'm just going to trim off all of that because everything we want useful is at the beginning. And zoom in on that bad boy. And I'm going to give this the benefit of the doubt. We're going to wait till it's all the way bottomed out. I'm going to trim everything off there at the beginning. And we're going to zero this out. So each second, each individual frame is 1 millisecond. So here, this is Pinball FX. The same table, same physical machine. We just saw 20 milliseconds on visual pinball. So here's Pinball FX. The button is fully depressed. And I'm looking at that flipper. It is rock solid. It's not moving anywhere. We've passed 20 seconds. Now we are at, so you notice how it goes from 29, so 30. So 1 in our timer up in the corner here is actually 30 milliseconds. And we've still got no movement on the flipper. So keeping on moving. Oh, there's our movement. You can see that 50 hertz. So there is our first movement. So that is 50 milliseconds. I'm going to go back to... So real world pinball, I'm just going to say it flat out is 2 milliseconds. I've got a few more tests. I can do... let's check the Harlem Globetrotters just for fun. But I'm not expecting to see any... let's get the pinball FX out of the way. And again, just to show a modern... here's a solid state pinball machine. Again, the switch is in this. As soon as the switch is closed, it's going to be sending the signal. There's no digital on-off. So let's get past the normal speed. And you can see this. You can tell my finger bumps the camera. So here we go. And right where the button's about to be pressed, we trim it, get rid of the opening stuff. And let's get rid of the high speed at the end. We're going to trim that. So how much useful video do we have? We got over 3 seconds here. I am interested. I mean, keep in mind, I'm using a cell phone to record all of this. And not even an expensive one. This is the Samsung Galaxy A53 with the super slow-mo mode. That is an inexpensive camera. You know, to get like something professional that does 1,000 frames a second, the cheapest thing I'm aware of is the Sony RX 100. So all of them after they'll shoot like 4 seconds reliably at high speed. So if you want to get more accurate, go pick yourself up a Sony RX 100. Just make sure it's 4th gen or later. The 3rd gen and earlier did not have the high speed. What's another thing that's got it? Actually, that's pretty much it until you hit the serious high-end, high-speed cameras that pros use. But we don't care about that. Let's see what our actual speed is here for the Harlem Globetrotters. So the buttons just started moving, and I'm bottomed out there. Oh, look at that. That was like 3 milliseconds. Now, here's one of the fun things, is this 2-stage flipper. So you notice that the bottom one's moving first. So I'm going to call that engaged there. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So 3 milliseconds for Harlem Globetrotters for the lower flipper. And then, wait for it. Wait for it. Look at that. I didn't count, but we can see the upper one doesn't start moving until after the lower one's already finished. So there is a delay there between the two. So let's see. So I'm gonna trim it here because I don't want to have to count. I just want to use the numbers in the system. So this will be the last one we look at. So we're gonna say 1, 2, 3 is where our flipper starts, and there's 3 milliseconds. And then the second one starts moving at 11 milliseconds. Kind of neat. Anyway, so I am interested in the fact that Globetrotters was 3 milliseconds. I don't think there's much off for the camera. I think it's just, maybe a little slower, or because of the 2-stage switch. I'm not sure what it is. But again, looking at my virtual pinball at 20 millisecond delay versus the 2 or 3 milliseconds of a real pinball machine. Anyway, I'll let you draw your own conclusions. If you're looking to see any more, I'm happy to shoot more video, and this to me is exciting. I'll be doing more tests with different cables, different video settings. It'll be a good time. So anyway, thanks for watching.